What's up, everybody? It's the Digital World Podcast. And boy, let's get started. We got some things to cover. So here's Larry Summers. And Larry Summers is a former Treasury Secretary and Democratic heavyweight. And he is saying that Biden needs to pivot from the COVID narrative and he needs to prepare America for the struggle that lies ahead. And he says that Joey needs to ditch the usual laundry list of policy proposals and switch from being the protect the middle class from the pandemic president to being prepare America for the struggle ahead president. And I mean, this guy's connected with, with all, these famous politicians and other businessmen. This guy knows his stuff and he's in those groups. And what's interesting about this is you see how the narrative has shifted, right? Now we had a health crisis. Now we're getting into the very, very serious matters. And I recently, Pfizer, along with the FDA, there's a lot of reports being released. And I recently saw one that gives you all the adverse events for you know what. So, folks, it's frightening to say the least. But anyways, as all that is happening in the background, you get this new noise of news that is covering and overshadowing this whole release of documents and reports. And no one cares or is paying attention to that because, there's a new issue that's being covered. And that's what's going on. And I think it's important to know that that is taking place. You can't dismiss it. And not only that, I just recently read an article that New York's electricity bill from Con Edison has tripled for some residents. And I think that one thing you can absolutely expect 99.9%, because nothing is always certain, but you can expect that your gas, your electricity, your food, everything is about to go up. It's about to take a turn for the worse. And remember, folks, if you've been following me, you know these are things I've been talking about. I said prepare because you're about to see an increase in everything across the board, especially when it relates to energy. Natural gas, oil, we know that fertilizer uses natural gas and that fertilizer is used for food. So everything's going up across the board. And you know that you use gas and oil to power a lot of engines, right? Because trucks take the products to the store. So, I mean, you're talking about a domino effect that's headed towards a very, very scary foreseeable future. And I'm not going to read the rest of this, but what's happening globally is putting a lot of pressure on Biden. But he took a lot of the heat that he was taking for inflation. Well, now he has a scapegoat. Now you can blame it on Russia and Ukraine. But I think that when you look at these things, right, you got to ask yourself, why are they all of a sudden these media sources just pivoted 180 degrees from the cerveza sickness to this conflict between Russia and Ukraine. And they're wanting people to really get involved, emotionally involved. Whether that they want to, maybe there's a plan behind it, maybe they have alternative motives, but it's something you've got to question. And all I'm saying is prepare ahead of time with your food, right? Maybe with like I said, always have a small goal and build on it, right? And that's how you work your way up. Maybe you don't have the resources at your disposal. But that's why you work little by little to get the little things. But we're headed into a serious summer. And to make matters worse, if this summer ends up being extremely hot and we have a drought, and that affects crops, specifically grain in the Midwest, oh boy, I'm telling you, it's going to get tough. China's hoarding their grain. I think they're about 50% of the exports for grain, and they're hoarding their grain. And now, I'm telling you, folks, it's 2022 is a pivotal year, and I think this is where things turn. I actually had a conversation with someone who was telling me that it's time to buy. It's time to buy these stocks that have crashed, 2/3, like PayPal. It lost 2/3 of its market cap, of its value. And they're saying, well, that's a buying opportunity. And I'm thinking, I'm not going to touch that. We're literally in the midst. You have to orient yourself where the market is in the cycle. And these are the things you don't want to be doing. And I told this individual explicitly, I let him know all the facts, because when something happens, I don't want him to tell me, why didn't you let me know when we had these conversations? I let him know plain and clear, and each individual is responsible for their own decisions. And so when I see this kind of thought process that's happening with the average Joe and Jane, that's how I know it's time to exit some of these markets. If you hold, sorry about that, if you hold any stocks. So, anyways, this is not financial advice. You decide what you want to do, but I think this is a good reminder. And this State of the Union is going to be a very telling sign of where we're headed. And apparently, Biden's going to be talking about the Green New Deal. And he's going to push for the Build Back Better agenda, which is going to be the demise, unfortunately, of this country. So, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe to the channel. This is the Digital World Podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode.